BitPinas!
Alright, kamusta ang lahat? And welcome to the BitPinas Webcast, an online show where we interview the people who move our industry, our crypto industry here in the Philippines forward. Ako po si Michael Mislos, ang editor-in-chief of BitPinas, which we started in 2017 and have been covering the blockchain and crypto industry here in the Philippines since then. So a lot has been happening at BitPinas at the moment. I think napapansin nyo naman our Facebook page has remained very active. We have been covering a lot of news and important events here in the country and continuously improving our various platforms, expanding into various other social channels, including our newsletter and Telegram channel. So if you haven't seen them, please check them out in the comment section here for the links. No? So we have shifted to this bi-weekly schedule. So to our viewers dito sa webcast, maraming salamat sa patuloy na panonood nito. No? Every other Thursday for now, and then hopefully in the future bumalik tayo sa weekly format natin. And just a quick reminder lang, madami na naman mga BitPinas impersonators and many other fake pages pretending to be BitPinas or members of our staff, no, at even our reporting team. So please make sure you are following the correct BitPinas social media accounts, websites, such as the one where you are viewing this particular webcast right now. Alright, sa comment section, ilalagay namin dyan yung mga official accounts and pages natin dito sa bitpinas.com. Alright, so a lot of rewards right now. 10,000 pesos worth of Celo tokens to be given tonight to our viewers, to our listeners. Thanks to our sponsor, ang Philippine Digital Asset Exchange or PDAX. So meron tayong trivia Q&A. May prize din sa mga active commenters. And then yung mga magtatanong din sa ating guest, mapipili, may chance din kayong manalo. So nandito ngayon sa atin sa comment section, of course dito sa atin sa screen yung kung paano mag-qualify, no? So 1,000 Celo ay 4 winners sa Q&A, trivia Q&A, 8 winners naman sa comment section. And then also 4 winners finally doon sa mga mapipiling mga tanong dito sa atin sa mga guests natin. So to qualify, you must be following and sharing this page if you are on FB. On Twitter, if you're on Twitter, you follow BitPinas and retweet the live stream. And then on YouTube, if you are there, you must be following the BitPinas page. No? So depende kung nasaan kayo. Alright? So before we go to discuss our main topic for tonight, which is about Celo, the Celo blockchain, the Celo foundation, we want to have like a quick catch up, no, with our first two guests, which will also serve as my co-host also for tonight's webcast, no. So to let us know what's up with their professional lives and their organizations. So without further ado, let us welcome Vincent James Tio, the head of platform solutions at PDAX, and Luis Buenaventura, the Vice President at GCash and the head of GCrypto. So magandang gabi sa inyong dalawa, James, Vincent James, and Luis. Thank you for joining us dito sa webcast.
Hey man, kamusta?
Hey,
It's been
Mike.
so long.
Yes, yes, totoo yun. So I hope we get to meet around anytime soon, no? So I'll begin with Luis, no? It's almost 1 year ago when you joined GCash, no, as to head GCrypto. So and I have this particular screen. So before you answer what is in that screen, so how is the experience so far leading the crypto division of arguably the biggest fintech company dito sa Pilipinas? And does everyone in GCash already has Bitcoin?
Wow, yeah, okay. Big questions. It's kind of embarrassing. I just realized I think I'm wearing exactly the same shirt in that photo as what I'm wearing right now. I kind of wish I'd changed my shirt before this stream. So what have I been doing in Gcash? I guess most people who know me a little better know that I kind of came from a very startup kind of background. So I am kind of a an odd man out when it comes to the more parang structured culture of Gcash. Now there's like nearly 2,000 Gcash employees. It's a very large organization. And certainly it's been a real learning experience. So the biggest joke that I always hear from my friends who know me from before is that this is the first time they've seen me like Monday through Friday showing up to work in pants instead of shorts. Um, and like I'm all formal and stuff. But I guess that's part of the role. I think that's a really big part of just being in an organization that has the kind of reach and the kind of customer base that Gcash has. So it's worth it. It's just different. It's certainly different, and I'm learning new things every day. Like there's so much corporate jargon that I have never used before. I think the language of startups is very different. But I really like the people that I'm working with. And I certainly get to work with folks like Sila Vince from PDAX and, people that we've had on the show, Sila Nichelle, Patrick. So, I get to collaborate with folks that I already was quite close to even before, but now we're actually working together. So it's great. In general, I'm very happy about it. So yeah, I can't complain. I cannot complain.
All right. So and then finally this particular video no I mean the picture no may update ba dito sa price I mean sa pie chart na ito which I think represents
Ah,
the how you
okay.
have your portfolio holdings.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so this photo here, this is actually from an event that we did. So one of my kind of small achievements, having become part of Gcash, is that I'm able to do these big community meetups in the Gcash office. So this photo is actually taken in the seventh floor of the Gcash office. Where we invited like a whole bunch of the crypto community, the local crypto community, to come and talk about in this particular case, we were teaching portfolio management, and I was talking about how I actually have a very very simple portfolio strategy. Most of it is kind of the coins that you expect: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some stables, and then I have a whole bunch of kind of layer ones and coins that I'm betting on for this cycle. So this is kind of my standard portfolio. That doesn't change. The only things that will change are kind of the coins that are inside it. I actually made a mistake here. I say layer one because I was talking about things like in my head. No, I was talking about Solana and BNB and Celo also. I forgot that Celo isn't layer one anymore because it really actually used to be a layer one. No? So now it's like a layer two of Ethereum. So it actually is one of those coins in that layer one slice of my pie chart. I'm not a very reckless or high risk kind of investor, so most of my bets are pretty safe. And Celo is one of those coins kasi that I've been watching for a really long time, even from way before I was in Gcash. Like back in 2019, we were already kind of trying to do something with Celo in my previous startup, Bloom. So, ayon, like I'm a big believer in what they're doing.
All right. Thank you so much for the update, no, Luis. So next naman is the Vince. This particular to our listeners or to our audience. So recently, I believe PDAX has received this recognition from the
Mhm.
BSP as one of the 2024 outstanding stakeholders, no? So,
Mhm.
sabi ng inyong CEO na si Michelle, it's been your privilege to work side by side with the government, no, for financial
Mhm.
education or innovation in the country. So, PDAX has been here for quite some time now. I think one of the first, if not one of the first crypto exchanges here. So, how is it like to work now with the BSP, especially in this new age of crypto, no, wherein hindi na lang tayo, we're not simply talking about, buy and sell, trading, and even leverage,
Mhm.
diba? Now we have NFTs, we have security tokens, meme coins, with Web3 games. Like, how do you explain these things to to our regulators, Vince?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for the question, Mike. Actually, it's been pretty fun working with our regulators and the BSP. one thing that most parang if you're just looking at it from the outside and not knowing what's going on, parang oh, baka yung regulators, they're there to stop a lot of things. But from what we've experienced, they've been very collaborative. They really want to make sure that the new technologies that are happening or that are coming up across the world, they reach the Philippines, and that it can be easily accessible to to a lot of the people here, for most Filipinos. So they really listen, and the work that we do with them, it's been pretty good. So I think that's one of the key priorities when of PDAX is really whatever whatever new initiative we would have in mind is we'll keep it in line with what's going on with what's going on with regulation, and at the same time help see how we can pave new paths moving forward with these new technologies that keep on popping up. It's hard to keep up, daming nangyayari in this space. This year alone, we have had what ETFs, a lot of things. So yeah, I guess that's working alongside with the regulator in that sense garnered us this recognition with them. So yeah, and I guess that would be sort of the experience. It's pretty fun and collaborative, I would say.
All right. Thank you so much, Vince, for the update on PDAX and also Luis about Gcash. So one of the things that I see lately in the crypto scene, the local exchange scene, is the listing of more and more tokens, no, sa mga exchanges natin with PDAX and also GCrypto. And one of the latest additions is the token, the Celo token, no, for people in our audience, the Celo blockchain, an open source blockchain platform designed to make DeFi tools accessible to anyone with a mobile phone. No, so we have been covering Celo, and also there some of the wallet before, the one called Valora and everything else. So no, in the past, especially during the time of the pandemic, where I first learned about their initiatives here in the Philippines, no, and we are going to talk about that more later. So very curious dito, no, what was mentioned is that DeFi to anyone with a mobile phone. So what does that even mean? And from what I understand, Celo also is having this big push to the stable coin, no, and lately they have become a layer two on Ethereum. So to let us know more about this, let us welcome on stage the co-founder of Celo and the president of the Celo Foundation, Mr. Rene Reinsberg. Where is ayun. So hi
Great to
Rene,
be
thank
here.
you for joining us. Thank you for joining us here in the BitPinas webcast. How are you?
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here, and yeah, Luis, so good to see you after all these years. What a great journey. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
All right. So thank you so much, no, Rene, for joining us. Really, I know that it's a bit early, very early morning on your end. So just to introduce you to our audience, Rene Reinsberg, Mr. Rene Reinsberg, a graduate of MIT, previous roles at McKinsey and Morgan Stanley, consultant at the World Bank before, also roles at GoDaddy, the internet thing, and before working at Celo, I believe beginning in 2017. So, Rene, I'm sure you have been asked about this every time you go to a podcast, but this is your first time here on the BitPinas webcast on the local Philippine crypto community. So maybe you can let us know what got you, very briefly, what got you into crypto and what motivated you and your co-founders to build the Celo blockchain.
Yeah. So quick background: my co-founders Merrick and Sep and I, we've been working together at this point way over a decade. And so in our previous company, we were working on helping small businesses better compete with like the big, Amazons of the world, by helping them using machine learning to, kind of manage their information online. And so that same spirit we wanted to bring to other areas. And when we discovered Ethereum and Web3, we realized, oh, wait a second, this technology can level the playing field as it comes to financial services. And obviously that's a massive opportunity, massive undertaking. But yeah, you said 2017. Remember 2017? Ethereum, that's proof of work. Kind of, it's slow, it's expensive, right? It doesn't really, if those of us who were using wallets back then, non-custodial wallets, it wasn't really a smooth experience. And we went in it and said to ourselves, hey, look, if we can create something that works well on mobile and gives people access to what we think will become the next infrastructure for all financial services, then maybe we have a chance to correct some of the mistakes that or some of the shortcomings of our current traditional financial system. And that was the starting point. First thing we did was build a wallet on ETH mainnet, and from there worked our way backwards and really took an approach of saying, okay, what are all the features that you need to actually enable just a really snappy, good experience, even on a very basic Android phone with limited bandwidth. And 7 years fast forward, that's really starting to happen in a big way. And I think there were early signs that it's working. I remember also vividly the work we've done as a community in the Philippines. You mentioned this was kind of beginning of COVID, right, when we partnered with Grameen and Valora to distribute or use Celo as a transport layer, right, to distribute micropayments to entrepreneurs so they could order food, medicine online, get it delivered to their doorstep. All of that happening, really fast digitally and much cheaper than traditional ways. So that was to me still one of my favorite sort of use cases and showing the power of this technology of really bringing money from any corner of the world right into a local market directly to someone's phone. There's other examples, obviously, ecosystem projects like Impact Market, who have been active in the region and in the country, in the northern Philippines. There's Gainforest, who's done amazing work around conservation projects and sort of building a conservation basic income. It's in the southern Philippines. So I'm excited to see that over the years we've put pointers on the board, right, as a community to say, hey, this technology can be used in all these different ways. And now 2024, it's really time to scale up, right? Like, let's no longer limit some of these solutions to a few thousand people. We've proven they can work at a much bigger scale. And I think this is kind of, the moment now. And we're, obviously super excited to partner with PDAX, having USDT native on Celo, having obviously USDC, having all the local stablecoins. We can talk a little bit later about the Puso that is going through the, community right now, discussions, the kind of the launch of sort of a native Filipino peso stablecoin on top of Mentos protocol, which is a super exciting initiative. But a lot of these components are in place, and I could imagine something to happen in the Philippines similar to what's happening across a bunch of different African markets right now, where we've just seen insane, tremendous growth with projects like Opera's MiniPay that people are using for daily peer-to-peer payments, to pay their utility bills, to get access to microcredit where previously they wouldn't have been able to get access to capital. So it's really powerful, and I will say the last few years have been hard, right? Because as an industry, we face a lot of headwinds, and there's it's not been an easy time when you read the headlines. But what I'm excited about, and I think Luis said it nicely, when you sort of take more of a long-term view on things, and you sort of look at these projects and see what they're looking to achieve, there's a bunch of entrepreneurs, which I include many in the Celo ecosystem, that are really taking a long-term view in here and still believe very much in the transformative power of this technology, and it's their time now, and it's going to be their time, and some of these solutions will get very big very fast, right? And it's no longer just startups, but it's organizations like Opera, which is a public company, right, out of Oslo. It's organizations like Gcash, right, that are really leading the way when it comes to actually bringing this to everyone, kind of from a mass adoption perspective, in a responsible, secure way. So yeah, I mean, despite sort of maybe public markets and what's happening in the news, right? I think it's a very bullish time from if you purely take a look at how far the products have come and where the technology is.
All right. Thank you so much, Rene, on all those things that you mentioned. Also, really about Celo and all the initiatives that are happening fast forward to today. So, I want to go back a bit, or maybe jump into the part about this particular word that I always see on your social media, on your website. The words are prosperity for all, which is a part, I believe, part of your mission statement. And I'm not sure if everyone in our audience knows this, but as Rene mentioned earlier, yes, that one on our slide now, especially during the time of the pandemic, they have actually been very bit quietly active here in the Philippines, helping a lot of people who have been affected by the pandemic back then, no? Through efforts of Valora, which is a mobile wallet, and then of course the efforts of the Grameen Foundation. In fact, I see Farah in the audience, who was part of that particular initiative, and also a shout out to you, who was helping us know more about these things that were happening at Celo back then. So my question to you, Rene, how has Celo evolved since its inception? So, for example, your mission statement and all those things, has there been any changes to that, or it is still the same, especially since day one?
How do you say prosperity for all in Filipino? We have to solve this by the end of the AMA. But no, I think for us, it's actually, we may even have it. We have sort of a T-shirt that just says prosperity for all, but we have it in really multiple languages, and especially when there's like a local meetup, we bring it in local language. So I wonder, this is a question for maybe our team, Angelo and the gang, whether we already have it for the Philippines. That'd be fun to get out. But yeah, look, this has been the North Star. It's been the guiding principle. I think that is the reason, a lot of the early contributors joined, a lot of the early projects started building even before mainnet, which is at this point is 4 years ago. And I think it's also been the glue that's held us together during hard times, like the bear cycles that you eventually have in this space, given how early the technology is. And it's really powerful when you then have wins like the ones we've had, and even just the last 6 months, the growth in terms of the stablecoin volume. I mean, we're, I think, about to flip Tron in terms of daily active wallets for stablecoin transfers, right? Which is kind of insane from if I think back a year ago. So to me, it's prosperity for all is just ties back to a lot of the core design principles. Really building for mobile, and not just some of the technical features, but this requires every builder, right, who's building a dApp, a product on top of Celo, to think about, hey, how does this render on a mobile phone, right? Is this something that someone can use in a low bandwidth environment on a simple Android? And I think, unfortunately, I mean, I wish this wasn't sort of our best kept secret. I wish everyone in Web3 would bring that mindset, right? Because I think only if we make Web3 broadly, accessible to everyone with just a mobile phone, right, can we deliver against the industry's initial mission. So to me, the move of Celo becoming a layer 2, and in some ways really coming back into the Ethereum fold. We had started there, like I had mentioned, with the initial prototype wallet we built, but as a standalone layer 1, we pioneered a lot of the features. We had the first, proof of stake EVM, obviously always super low gas fees, ability to pay for gas with stable coins, things like social connect, features that really, help with like an excellent mobile experience. But now that we're coming back to Ethereum, it's a little bit like a homecoming, and as a layer 2, my hope personally is that we can bring this energy around mobile into the entire Ethereum ecosystem, really, and get a lot more people, a lot more projects, even on other chains, to think mobile first. I mean, that would be my dream, because we have this, I think, as a society, with this technology, right, we have this unique opportunity to really change the path, right? To really, I mean, financial inclusion has become almost like a sort of a negative buzzword, right? People don't want to really hear about it anymore. It's like, yeah, financial inclusion is important, right? But it's almost like you kind of tell someone, yeah, we should focus on financial inclusion. They're like, oh yeah, right, we gotta do that. It's like it's a burden, right? It shouldn't be a burden. It should be an opportunity, right? It should be like, oh wow, we can power like loans to every person in the world, right? We can give everyone in the world a way to build wealth. I mean, that should be something where people are like, yes, sign me up. I'll get up an hour earlier in the morning. I go to bed an hour later, just to kind of increase the chances that this can happen, right? And I think there's a bit of reframing required as a society, even, right? And I think for those who've seen, and I think everyone on this call has, right, the potential that this technology has to actually make a significant dent, right, in how access to basic financial services work, is really fired up. But we have to do more. We have to bring more people, in the know that this is possible, and then things happen quickly, right? I think you given this technology is global, and everything is kind of a building block to something else. It's not hard to imagine, like for a long time now, we've been sort of in this kind of more flat phase of adoption, right? Where, okay, yeah, you add people, right? And there's new applications launching, and some people onboard, some people, kind of leave again, and, they forget that they bought an NFT in 2022 and, like that kind of stuff, right? But then, you start getting sort of to this point where like the curve starts like, that's kind of going up. And I think we're at this point because people are realizing, oh, wait a second, I can do like a lot of stuff with like my crypto wallet now. Like, oh, I didn't realize I can do all these things, right? And suddenly they go from being pretty passive, maybe, buying Bitcoin here and there and forgetting about it, to starting to use it, regularly, daily. And when that happens, I think it's really, it's hard to kind of even know how that's going to play out, because with the internet, right, there was kind of a bit of an infrastructure sort of barrier, right? People had to actually, internet had to come to a certain village, right, for people in the village to adopt the internet. And then they needed kind of devices, phones, computers, right? But all Web3 needs to function is an internet connection and the device that they already have, right? So, if we're, 7 billion people could all be on Web3 every day starting next month, if they knew about it and if they had access to the tools that people are building, that are built with sort of a global mindset. There are some scalability and infrastructure questions, right, to figure out along the way, but there's not really any big roadblockers to this, right? And this is kind of the reason that, I think it's so important as a community, as a broader Web3 community, to focus on this now. Because if we can kind of get it done, right, I think there's a chance no one in a year or two will say, oh, crypto is so bad, right? Like, oh, crypto is just for speculation. Like, I think those headlines could be totally gone and sort of, blocked out from all the good stuff that's happening. But I think we're at this kind of important point in this journey. And, it's not clear to me that unless we make enough noise, this can really happen.
All right. Thank you so much, Rene, on that one. Very excellent response on the evolution, especially of Celo. And I like what you mentioned about financial inclusion being a buzzword. No, so I actually, one of the things that I really don't like is the statistic of the number of people with bank account. So that particular stat is often a metric that, oh, financial inclusion or financial adoption is happening, not not stating the fact that how much money was in that particular bank account, no, and not to
Usually
mention the
zero.
number of yes. So you're there, but on DeFi or on crypto, all you need is like a Web3 wallet, right? So I want thank you so much, Rene, on that one. And you already
By the way,
mentioned about the
I'm seeing all the responses in the chat for how to say prosperity for all. It's
yes.
really grateful for that. Thank you guys. I'll write some of these down, and if we don't have a T-shirt yet, we'll get this printed on a T-shirt. So yeah,
All right.
I love it.
We're going to talk about layer two in a bit, but first, perhaps Luis and Vince, we have a question for Rene at this particular moment. We start with you, Luis.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to kind of just highlight something that Renee was talking about earlier because I want to make sure that people don't miss that, no? Because like there's actually a really interesting small detail in the current implementation of Celo that's actually quite powerful, no? And the first person that pointed this out to me was Noman Mustafa, who I think we know previously from CoinsBH, no, but now is with the foundation. He was telling me that, you know, if you have stable coins on the Celo network, when you transfer them, the gas that you pay is actually in the stablecoin itself. And it took me a while to
Mm.
realize how powerful that was. Because if you think about it now, in most other cases, if I need to send you, Mike, Vince, or Renee, or anyone else, no, if I have like maybe USDT on Tron, which is currently the most popular of the stable coins here in the Philippines, if I tried to send you USDT on Tron, I have to pay for the gas in TRX, no? So and that's kind of annoying because that means I always have to maintain at least two of these, right? So I always have to have Tron, and then I also have to have the thing that I'm sending, and that's true for most blockchains. And I think that it's kind of it's such a simple little solution that when you're on Celo and you have CUSD, for example, or maybe a stable coin peso that we haven't talked about yet, um, you would be transferring it, and the gas you would pay would be in that same stablecoin. So you'd only have to have the one thing in your wallet, no? So you could actually do that thing where, you know, you could zero out your wallet very easily. When you're working on the Ethereum base layer on or any other blockchain, really, there's always like some tiny amount left because you always have to have a little bit for gas, no? And then you can't quite estimate how much gas it's supposed to be. And parang these are like minor things. Like when you're a crypto person, you just kind of accept that some of these UX things are not wonderful, no? And you just kind of you're fine with it. But I think that in order for us to really break through to the mainstream, we have to eliminate all of those areas that are kind of sucky or kind of messy, because the average person doesn't really want to know, like they don't really want to even have to think about things like gas, no? Like they'll accept a service fee, but if the service fee is paid in a completely different currency, that's just confusing, no? So I kind of like like these little efforts to simplify the experience. Also, the, you know, kind of being able to use mobile numbers as kind of like your primary identifier. That's a big deal. I wish we could do that for everything, really. I mean, of course, I work for Gcash, so like to a certain extent, we already do that. But we can only do that, you know, within our own country, within our own parang phone number system here.
Yes.
You know, global versions of that is actually way more challenging to execute. So ayun, I just wanted to kind of make sure that people don't miss that. No, that's kind of one of the things that make this solution very unique. It's a lot more friendly to people who've never done this stuff before. And God knows we need more of that. Because like honestly, every time I think about like the new innovations in DeFi, it just gets crazier and crazier. And then, you know, we're going down this crazy rabbit hole where there's like layers and layers of new innovations, and it's so complicated and hardly anyone understands like how any of this stuff works anymore. But no one was really kind of like, there's not enough people who are trying to improve the very top, the very top
Mm.
of that funnel, no, where it's all just people who have never done this stuff before, and I think that's worth that's worth highlighting, that's worth you know, shouting out, because it wasn't, I'm sure it was not trivial to make that stuff happen. So Ayan, that's one of the things I've loved the most about the Celo project.
Yeah, Lewis is like the others have just skipped episode one. no?
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
immediately go to the other.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you so
They
much.
start. They have to start their crypto experience by watching the sequel. They don't know what the. They don't even know what the first movie was about. Yeah. So it's rough. No, there's so much. We kind of assume that people will just figure this out, and like, I don't know. I don't think so, because Vince and I, we do a lot of these meetups in Gcash, and we're very gratified when the people who show up from the community are people we have never met before. They're people who are very new to crypto. My favorite audience are the kind of the old moms in their 60s, right? Who are deciding to have a crypto investment for the first time, and they just discover the GCrypto icon inside Gcash. They give it a shot. That's the kind of person I really want to reach, because I mean, they're the ones who will genuinely, find this stuff useful, um, and they need simpler solutions. So I guess that's
Yes.
a big part of our mission is making those simple solutions for them.
Yes.
There's
Thank you
a
so much,
there's a
Louis, on that one. No? So, how about you, Vince? Do you have like a
Yeah,
question or something that you would like to
yeah,
emphasize
yeah,
with Pinay?
yeah, for sure, Rene. I was reading the white paper for Celo, and really the two main things that stuck out was the objective of making things really easy to use, and second is to guard against that price volatility. And from your recent slew of successes from the USDT on Celo, and then one particular use case that I was particularly impressed with was the Opera MiniPay implementation in Nigeria, wherein you're just using mobile numbers and then through the browser, people can use their Celo to pay for stuff. What I'm particularly curious now is to get to that next level of where you want to take Celo. And you mentioned a lot of things earlier, but what's the one thing wherein you think is the most important step, especially as you're looking to expand to markets like in the Philippines? Or maybe flip it a bit, and I guess it's what are the main challenges that you see that would prevent you from hitting those next level goals that you're looking at. So either whichever of the two is more uh, top of
no,
mind for you, right?
it's a great question, and like, so I'm one of the founders, right? And so I try to look at things holistically, but then also I sit at the Celo Foundation, and we take certain things and we say, okay, here's specific initiatives we want to support because we think they're valuable for the entire ecosystem, right? But then there's also a lot of other stuff that's happening in the ecosystem that we only hear about, like you guys, when someone posts on X, so it's kind of that's always a little bit the interesting part. And there's been a lot of things happening where I'm like, oh wow, this is cool. I had no idea someone is working on this. And then that's an opportunity to go and say, hey, how can we help you do more of what you're doing and be more successful? And what are some of the roadblocks we can help eliminate? But in terms of the things that I'm personally excited about, or that as an organization that we're really looking at, and I think actually some of Luis's comment just now is a really nice framework for that, because there's some infrastructure that, for example, a company or a product like Gcash can incorporate, that is not necessarily just around a token or a coin, right? Even like stablecoin, but Social Connect is Web3 based infrastructure that allows for use cases that would be not possible with current infrastructure. I mean, or very, very difficult. I mean, Gcash would have to do sort of agreements with all of the other fintechs and wallet providers around the world to enable a world where I can send money from my Opera wallet to Gcash wallet, to my friend's Gcash wallet, right? And Social Connect solves that at sort of a global level, and people can opt into it. And Gcash could turn on a feature where they say, you know what, we allow anyone from anywhere to send funds to a Gcash wallet. And that's the power of Web3. Even there's not like on the individual kind of company level, it can save a ton of time or even make something possible that would be almost impossible, right, in sort of traditional world. But it kind of comes for free. The reason that Social Connect was built initially, that we started building it, right, wasn't with the goal to, one day, for Luis to take it and use it, right? So it's kind of interesting that, like, because these things are open, they're permissionless, right? They will be used for things that you don't really envision. And I think that's a powerful part of Web3 that I think sometimes is overlooked when, I think we focus more sort of in the public narrative around just the coins, the tokens. But also that, I mean, it's not that that's not exciting, right? So if I look at Foundation, we look at sort of some of that underlying infrastructure like Social Connect, but we also obviously, right now stablecoins really are hitting product market fit when it comes to real people actually using them in the real world, right? That's not something that has really happened, let's be honest, right? People, of course, were, using them on exchanges, to go in and out of Bitcoin or other assets, or using them on DeFi, but the peer-to-peer usage or people making payments, commerce payments, that's really relatively new at the scale that we're seeing. So on Celo, stablecoin volume last 6 months is up 7x, right? That's nuts in terms of like half a year growth. And we've been around for 7 years, right? So it's not that we started at zero, right? So that's really impressive. And yeah, I think a lot of it is driven really by real world use cases. And that's actually mostly driven by dollar stable coins. So USDT, USDC that launched natively earlier this year, CUSD, Mentos CUSD, which has been on Celo since the inception. But with that rise in volumes and some of the other local currency stablecoins that have already existed on Celo, given that kind of global real world focus, I think we're now in a really interesting position to offer people on-chain FX markets. And I you mentioned Morgan Stanley. I used to, like, very early in my career, I was at Morgan Stanley in fixed income capital markets, and my job included helping big corporate sovereigns with all kinds of structured derivatives, a lot of them involving FX, right, for hedging purposes, risk management, or companies that have sort of cross-border activities. And if you are a company that can call up Morgan Stanley and get a quote on some FX derivative structure, you're in a pretty privileged position, right? I wouldn't, I mean, my old self wouldn't have picked up the phone for everyone, right? I mean, that's just the nature of big banks, right? So the fact that we're now moving in a direction where some of these structures that I used to build, we're starting with FX spot markets, right? But we have future markets, you'll have derivative markets, and I could see a world where in sometime very soon, anyone, anywhere, like even the smallest company, right, could have access to the same financial instruments to, for example, if you're like a small company that's exporting goods from the Philippines to, I don't know, say Singapore, Vietnam, or Dubai, right, and like has FX exposure and wants to hedge this, right? Like, you probably don't have a way to do this today. Your local bank can't do it, and Morgan Stanley won't pick up the phone for you. And that's an area where, with the launch of the Stabila Foundation this week in the Celo ecosystem, which is focused on stablecoin growth and adoption, and I think there's 20 different cross-currency markets already live, and people can sort of trade seamlessly between assets. Obviously, Mentos playing a big role here as well. That is something that I think we haven't talked much about as an industry, but I think could be one of the next big use cases for Web3. And it's happening on Celo, which I'm pretty excited about given my own personal background. But yeah, that's another example of more of a token centric, even though there's a lot of infrastructure around it. But this is where the new Filipino peso stablecoin, the Puso, comes into play, right? Because now you can imagine people going seamlessly between the Puso and the Real, or the dollar or the euro, and these markets developing and providing just a ton of utility for not just end users, but businesses alike.
All right, thank you so much, Rene. And I think you mentioned some alpha on that one, no? So, and I'm happy that you mentioned about layer two and stable coins. No, I think some of the people on our comment session are already asking about this, no? The transition. The first one is of course the transition of Celo to layer two. What's mentioned on your website is of course you want to aim for liquidity, security, compatibility with the Ethereum ecosystem. And from what I have learned, your community, the Celo community, has actually overwhelmingly voted for that particular transition. No, other things that is happening is of course the Dango layer testnet, the testnet that is built on optimism, and then you mentioned about the stablecoin already. The stablecoin adoption that is a very or the stablecoin initiatives that are happening right now within the Celo ecosystem. So on those three particular things, I want to talk about the layer two and the stablecoin initiative. Also the layer two. So I want to
Mhm.
know. I think you touched it a bit briefly, but more on what is the motivation behind why is Celo? I mean, you have mentioned you have pioneered all those particular use
Yeah.
things that are already now on other chains. So for example, so what is the motivation to go to become a layer two on Ethereum, and why Ethereum specifically optimism?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll give you a
Yes.
quick one on this one. So yeah, look, I mean, this is absolutely the right move for Celo, and I think it's actually probably the right move for most layer ones out there right now. Ethereum is, I think that's clear, just given the last few years of technical development, and also in terms of looking at the community forces, is really becoming the settlement layer, right? And so if I think about in the long term, right, how do we not just maintain Celo's unique features and advantages? We haven't even talked much about the super low fees. Like there, in terms of fees, Celo is the most inexpensive chain, right? So fees right now on transfers are less than tenths of a cent, right? So it's amazing for micropayments, for all the use cases that we talked about. And so if you think about, okay, how do you kind of adjust the infrastructure overall, right, to be able to maintain those advantages and ideally do even more, right, to kind of increase more scalability, to kind of expand sort of the use of Celo, then you land on that sort of architectural choice, right? Because continuing to innovate on consensus and some of the sort of lower down kind of parts of the stack is expensive, right? And it requires development. And Ethereum is or has solved that, right? And is continuing to evolve. And as a massive community, is going to always provide the best possible solution there. So to us, like, it was kind of almost like a very pragmatic choice to say, hey, we know what Celo is very good at, and those are the features that are particularly enabling mobile real world use cases. So yeah, let's leverage what Ethereum offers us, right, to be able to maintain that in the long term, but also bring Celo to the broader Ethereum community, right? I mean, obviously you get sort of the native bridging, you get much more interoperability with Ethereum and other L2 chains. There's clear benefits from that. And I mean, my hope is that Celo can be one of the major onboarding engines for Ethereum overall, right? And I think this is why not just the Celo community, but actually the Ethereum community has been quite excited of Celo becoming a layer 2. And we've always felt super aligned with Ethereum. So we never, I mean, there are other, there's Bitcoin L2s and other architectural solutions, but for us, Ethereum was sort of the very obvious choice. And using OP Stack, which has become sort of the more or less standard for L2 technology. In our case, there's a bunch of custom work, obviously, that we're doing as we're transitioning an existing chain. And we're doing it in a way that from an end user perspective, you won't feel it, you don't have to migrate, you don't have to do anything. It's all happening under the hood, right? And that's important too. We don't want this. This should not be something that causes pain or sort of headaches to the community, but this should be something that future-proofs Celo, right? And in a way brings even more people and applications and builders to Celo, but it doesn't sort of distract us from sort of the everyday mission, right? So I think that's very happy that testnet is live. Where the core team at C Labs is working day and night on getting to mainnet, and I'm super excited. I think it's obviously a big moment in our journey, but overall, if you look at the things that we're looking to achieve, the things we talked about in terms of use cases, right? It's really just an enabler for those.
All right. Thank you so much on that one, no. And the next one is of course the thing about stable coins, no. We have this. I think we have a slide here about the stable coin adoption on Celo versus other chains. How do you see this progressing in the future? This is one from Marek from C Labs. How do you see this progressing, Rene? And how's the feedback so far from the everyday people that are using it? If you know of any.
Yeah, no, look, Luis said it. Like, it's for those who are not familiar with Celo, I think it's the easiest experience. I mean, there's no chain where it's as easy to send stablecoins, right? Because you don't have the complexity of having to pay gas in another token, right? I can send someone who doesn't have any other crypto, right? I can send them some stablecoin and they can send it on to a friend, and they don't have to think about anything, right? It works the way it should work, right? And I think that's starting to show in the metrics, right? I think this is sorted by TVL, but if you actually look at people or like wallets as a proxy for people that are daily active using stablecoins, I think we're number 2, right behind Tron, and it's head to head right now, and they've obviously been very successful, especially USDT on Tron, to across the world in terms of adoption. So yeah, I see it as a big sign that like this kind of really focus on a super easy experience, mobile, having amazing wallets, having great on and off ramps is slowly starting to pay off. So yeah, I think for me it's less about like where we are in the ranking. I think that's fun to see and makes for a good tweet. But it's like, hey, how many people are we affecting? Are we helping in the real world? And those numbers are still small. Let's be honest, right? We have 7 billion people in the world, and if we get a few million people to transact in stablecoins in a day, that's cool. But come on, let's bring this to billions, and I think we can. The technology is ready, and I think this is where partners like Opera with like a few hundred million users audience, partners like Gcash can move the needle, right? Because they have those relationships and trust with their users, and they can bring this experience to the users and have the users directly benefit from this.
All right. Thank you so much. So we have a lot of audience questions at the moment. No? So we begin with this one from Jake Ambas, and I think maybe Luis and Vince can also answer this one for the respective organizations. But Rene, this is the question from Jake. So how can Celo make mobile payments easier in places with little or no banking services? And what challenges might face in doing so? So this is the question from Jake Ambas.
I mean, just super quick. I mean, we see this all the time. Celo is actually active in a lot of places where there's very little formal banking infrastructure. And, I would count mobile money here because, it's kind of like a bank, right, in many markets. So I think it's really those on and off ramps to whatever exists. But then also, I think in many markets, what we've seen is kind of peer-to-peer infrastructure being really helpful in bridging that gap, right? So that people can use stablecoins in their community, and if needed, there's someone that can sort of off ramp, right? But it actually brings utility for transactions within the community.
All right. So the next one is from Yoko Portonado. What are Celo's plans in enhancing its scalability and transaction throughput, particularly as the network will continue to experience increased adoption and usage? The question is from Yoko Fortunato.
Yeah, there's it's a question we ask ourselves every day and have been, or the core team more specifically, and we so currently, there's say 1 million or so transactions, sometimes a little more, and sometimes like I think it's more recently it's been actually kind of more, I think hitting as high as 1.5, 1.75 transactions, so more than Ethereum even right now. So it's certainly something where we're like, okay, yeah, we need to have a strategy, right? And this is something obviously since the beginning of the network, right, that the core team is kind of constantly thinking about, okay, like if adoption were to 10x, in the next months, like could the network handle? And the great news is that there's a lot of work that's happened over the last few years, right, that has made Celo future-proof in that sense. So, and it's interesting, there was sort of an unexpected test last fall. I don't know if you guys remember the inscriptions craze. This was around Thanksgiving, US Thanksgiving, where I think in a single 24-hour period, Celo processed over 20 million transactions in a 24-hour period. So that's kind of at the time like 50x or so, 100x from where we were. Now, like even from now, it would be still a 20x increase, and it did so without a blip. Like we kind of just the next day we're like, oh, look at these charts, right? Amazing. And the fees stayed low, right? So everything worked sort of as expected, or maybe even better than expected, because it's hard to simulate those things, right? In sort of a test environment. So that's great, and work obviously has continued since to kind of do more work here. But yeah, look, I mean, our goal really is, I mean, I'd love to see Celo process 20 million transactions every day, right? In these next few months, and get to a point where every single one of these transactions is real utility in the real world. And yeah, it's been exciting to see how far we've come as an industry, right? And obviously this is not just work that Celo has done here, but there's a whole Web3 industry, right, working on solving this problem, which for those of us who've been around back in 2016, 2017, almost every conference, right, every panel, every talk, it was like, oh, but Web3 doesn't scale, like it can never compete with Visa and MasterCard. I mean, I remember those days, right? And now we would laugh about this, but back then that was, like there were some real hurdles to overcome. And I think was like it's always with technology, you in the short term you tend to over sort of estimate the progress you can make, but in the long term, it's almost laughable, because you have these crazy curves, right, where things just fall into place, and then you get massive improvements in performance.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Rene. No? And then finally, these are two similarly connected questions, and this is where we tie Celo, GCrypto, and PDAX all together. So the question from Logical, which nicely, what is in the context of the Philippines, what is the strategy of Celo for mass user adoption here in the country? And then the other question is from Alvin Ballesteros. No, now that Celo is more focused on stablecoin, do you have any plans of making a way to lessen the on-ramping fees by partnering with big institutions? There is a very big remittance market waiting for this here in the Philippines. So I want that to be answered by Rene first, and then Luis and Vince, if you have something to add on that one. No? So Rene?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'll just say Philippines, as you can tell from the conversation and some of the examples we had earlier, has been a really important market for us. And I think now the technical kind of components, are in place to really go for much bigger sort of adoption. And I don't want to also, say, oh, here's like Celo Foundation's 10-point plan, right? And here's what we want to do. A lot of this is going to come down to what the community actually wants and needs, right? And I love hearing about the remittance use case. Obviously, this is one we're very aware of, and we're actively working on lowering, just on and offboarding costs, making assets more available. I think USDT is now in PDAX, which is amazing. And I think there's I think this is where I'm excited that we have the new Philippines DAO. We are having a bunch of I think conversations right now where we're like trying to understand, okay, what are the key use cases? What are the key partners? And I think there's really, I think awareness is probably the thing that I would say is most important right now, because I think we have all the other components, from a product and technology perspective. We just need more people to know that this is possible, and then iterate, right? And like work out the kinks, oh, here's something that doesn't work as well. Well, let's try to fix it, right? Let's hear about it. And so, I think you'll see us, show up a lot more and just ask questions and see, hey, how's it going? Like what can be better? And then try to tackle, iterative product development is kind of, the best approach to actually getting to sort of a much better user experience. But I'm curious to hear.
Thank you so much, Rene. And
Yeah.
yes, so and the one that you mentioned about the Philippines DAO, which we're going to talk in a bit. So again, this is where we tie it all together. You guys at GCrypto and PDAX. So from the question of Alvin and Logical, which earlier a way to lessen the on-ramping fees by partnering with institutions, and then what is the strategy for Celo mass user adoption here? Obviously, one of that is the the partnership with you guys, or with PDAX and Luis and GCrypto. So maybe with Luis first. Any thoughts on that one, and maybe you can also add very briefly how did this the partnership came about?
Yeah, sige, I'll just actually I'll talk about crypto as a remittance solution first. No, I think that's kind of important to point out. Actually, I have a very short story about this. So 2014, 2015, we were trying to do Bitcoin remittances. No, that was kind of the business model of my startup back then. And I remember that I pitched it to Tim Draper in SF. That was like nearly 10 years ago now. And I remember he told me that, he wasn't super interested in investing in a Bitcoin remittance startup because in his mind, Bitcoin already was remittances. And, so I didn't get money from him, whatever. But I think that there was some wisdom in what he said, no? Because if you think about it, cryptocurrency, if both people have crypto wallets, it doesn't matter where they are in the world, naman, they can send that money to each other. So to a certain extent, that already hits the definition, the very basic definition of a remittance, no? You are transferring money overseas. So sometimes now, or maybe all the time now, when I talk to people about crypto remittances, I kind of say that, crypto remittances is actually something you can already do. It is your job as a crypto user to help others realize that. So you could be living in the States, or you could be living in Europe or the Middle East or wherever, and you could have family here in the Philippines or vice versa. And you just tell them that, hey, you know what? I don't have to use whatever, Western Union to send you money. All you have to do is open any number of different crypto wallets. I would love it if it was GCrypto or PDAX, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be any number of different crypto wallets. And it could be Valora, and you will be able to receive a crypto remittance from anywhere in the world. And it is as simple as that, no? So that's kind of one of the things that I really have to keep telling people. Part of making this reality happen resides with us as the individual crypto enthusiasts, because it's partially our job to help others understand that this is actually what is available to us now. Now, to answer the question about, kind of partnering with institutions like us, yeah, for sure, we want the best possible price that we can give to our customers. That is a work in progress always, to use Rene's word. Yeah, it is an iterative process for us as well. The biggest challenge for us naman is always volume, right? We need to hit certain numbers of transactions or users or whatever in order to get better pricing. And that's just business. So, to a certain extent, we will continue to make that our biggest priority. But I also kind of just wanted to make sure that everyone doesn't forget that, you already have all of the tools necessary to use crypto as remittances. To a certain extent, you don't even need us, you know. And I think that that's important to remember. Now, but yeah, part of the reason why we're here on this live stream with Celo Foundation is because we want to support what they're doing and figure out a way to make this as available at good prices to as many Pinoys as possible. That's the main mission for us.
All right, thank you, Luis, on that one. And how about you, Vince?
Yeah.
To add to Rene and Luis.
Yeah, just echoing that statement. So, just the fact that it's crypto, it's a digital asset, it's something that it's readily available. So it's available on the PDAX channels on the PDAX app. You can easily use it via our services. And one of the key priorities of PDAX as well is we can't do this on our own. We want to have virtual assets accessible to as many people as possible. So that's why a key priority for us is partnering with financial institutions and help enable them with our technology and what we can provide in our services. This is why we have this partnership with Gcash. So it's really going to be available it's at your fingertips right now. We try to make it as easy as possible with these collaborations. I remember at the start I mentioned that we collaborate a lot with our regulators, but at the same time we collaborate a lot with our peers in the industry to grow this market as large as possible in the country. And to echo what Luis mentioned, as we grow the market, as the volumes go up, it's better for everyone. We could move the needle in terms of what we can offer in terms of pricing, etc. But we need to grow that market, and the philosophy of PDAX is to grow it together with our partners.
All right. Thank you so much on that one. Thank you for the explanation to Luis, Vince, and also Rene. So and then lastly, I would like to highlight this particular activity or development that is happening at Celo, no, the Celo Foundation, the Celo community. There is already this particular thing called the Philippines DAO, no, the Celo Philippines DAO, a regional DAO. And I think this is already completed. We have a what is this? We have a picture of that here. Um, Establishing the Celo Philippines DAO aimed at expanding and educating the local community here in the Philippines about Celo and the Mento protocol. So, of course, together with PDAX, with GCrypto, the funds will be used to support initiatives like creating Twitter, setting up Telegram bot, so I Telegram bot, no, and then arranging local meetups. So, who can maybe you Rene, no, the Celo Philippines DAO. So, this is already, I believe, this is already funded. Is that correct?
Yeah, and look, I mean, I would encourage folks to reach out to the DAO. Yeah, this is the power of Celo, right? Anyone can join the community, make a proposal to the on-chain fund or Celo public goods treasury, and make contributions to the ecosystem. So yeah, pretty excited. I think there's a lot of momentum on this one. I'm hearing like there's daily chatter and like things happening. And I think that's great, right? Because I think this goes back to my earlier point, like so much of where the development's going to go from an ecosystem perspective is going to have to align with the needs of the market, of the community, right? And so, I'm seeing a lot of really great questions in the chat. I think, yeah, this is the kind of conversation, the kind of dialogue that can happen at the DAO level, and then can bring momentum around certain projects, around certain initiatives, right? And some of these end up being global initiatives, right? So we've seen this with some of the work, for example, Africa DAO has been around for a while, has done, where there's such a focus on a topic like on and off ramps, right? That then it kind of evolves into sort of a bigger kind of global conversation around programs to enable that, right? So there's always room for that, but sometimes it's also just kind of like the local use cases. And I was going to say one more thing. There's also a bunch of questions here, around Celo Composer, which makes it really easy to build, like, Celo dApps, or how to join the Dango testnet. It may make sense, to even through the DAO, or we can do this separately here, set up a more technically focused chat, and have some of our DevRel team just run through some of the different ways to get involved as a builder. Which, I would really love for people to use applications, and I think this has happened in other markets. I would love to see a lot of crypto adoption on Celo in the Philippines, and have that be on products built by Filipinos, right? I think that's always the best possible way, right? Because you have people that understand the local community, a local market, right? And so as Foundation, we try to support that directly, but also indirectly working with the DAOs, because we've seen a lot more success with that than if you have, if someone in Silicon Valley, builds an app for, people in the Philippines. The odds of that working are pretty low, right? Because it's very hard to understand the local sort of way of working. So that to me is kind of where our focus as an organization, as an ecosystem, really has been to empower local builders as much as possible. And I'd love to see that happening in the Philippines in a big way.
All right. Thank you so much, Rene, on that one. No, I was looking at the snapshot that of this one, the people that voted, the community that voted. So to our listeners, no, this is how things are getting funded in crypto. No, there's a community vote, and then they'll put in the funds. No? So what I see here is that 75% accepted the proposal, 25% abstained, and 0% that did not accept the proposal. No? So that's a very powerful thing, that everyone wants this particular thing to happen. The Celo community wants this to happen in the Philippines. So Luis and Vince, how is GCrypto, I guess, and PDAX going to support, or are you guys going to support the Celo Philippines DAO that has been organized?
I think from the GCrypto side, we're mostly going to support the tokens, no, the Celo token, the USDT token on Celo. I think that if there are initiatives that the Celo Philippines DAO wants to do in the Philippines, I assume that we'll participate in, like, things like events, meetups, things like that. We'll happily participate. I think I wanted to just mention that the nature of a DAO is it's not really like a company. So it is technically open to anyone to join and participate in. I think initially it'll probably just be a small group, but we did this with YGG also. No, we built it as a DAO. And yeah, you have a core team in the middle, but that's just kind of temporary until the thing becomes strong enough to basically just be community led. And I think the goal with any DAO is that eventually it becomes, kind of owned and controlled by the community in a very decentralized way. So I think that it'll get there if we can just give it enough time and resources and attention. But yeah, from the GCrypto or the Gcash standpoint, we'll happily support the initiatives of the DAO, and also kind of, I think it's worth inviting anyone in the audience who's interested to participate in it. It is open for stuff like that, because it does belong to us, all of us.
Okay. So how about thank you, Luis, on that one. So how about you, Vince?
Yeah, for sure, this is super, super, super exciting, with this initiative and what's going on, right? So we at PDAX, we're really open in terms of exploring how we can lend our support, how we can collaborate on this project, and see how we can bring our expertise in to this. So, but definitely we're excited to see where this can lead, for sure.
All right. Yeah. Highlighting what's Rene mentioned earlier about the fact that you guys want to make sure that the Celo products that will be built on Celo are done by Pinoys for Pinoys, or for Filipinos, by Filipinos, and I think that's really important now for any blockchains or any organizations that want to build or be here in the Philippines. So actually, Rene, I listened to this particular Twitter space some weeks ago where they are launching something in the Philippines. And the people that were talking about the Philippines hasn't even been here, or actually has a know-how on how things work here locally. So I like what you mentioned, that you have that the Celo Philippines DAO is here, and you are intending to have or wish that there are more developers that are here also in the Philippines, developing for the Celo ecosystem. I guess you know that, of course, the Philippines is one of the number one users of crypto, but of course we wanted, the Philippines also to be where the products of crypto are being built. So there are still a couple of questions here. I know we have some hard time where we end this. So where's that? Yes, so there's this particular question about Celo, of course, being now in layer 2. But I believe there are still others who thought that once a particular blockchain or project moves to Ethereum, they immediately think that there are this very high fee, high cost, very and all those things, no. So maybe we can Luis, Vince, or Rene, maybe we can dispel that particular myth or that speculation that once you go to Ethereum, um, everything will be costly. Maybe
Hmm.
Rene.
Yeah, no, look, so Ethereum mainnet, right, is sort of the base layer, right? It's the L1, and people used to, or still are, right, running transactions right on the layer 1. And in times of a lot of transactions, that can become costly, right? Because you have sort of these kind of traffic jams, if you want to, kind of call it that, and things move slow and get more expensive. But in Ethereum scaling, or the way kind of the Ethereum community has thought about scaling and solving this issue, right? Being able to process a lot more transactions and doing so at a low kind of guaranteed cost, or lower cost. This has led to sort of this architecture of okay, there's the layer 1 Ethereum mainnet, and then there's layer 2s and even layer 3s in the future that all somewhat kind of piggyback on the economic security that Ethereum offers, while having their own set of features, right? And so in the case of Celo can be Celo the way Celo is today, but just leverage that economic security. There's a few, without going into too many other technical details, right? There's other components, the way you can architect the layer 2 that can sort of help you achieve the very low fees, and you could even have fast finality, right? Like faster finality than Ethereum, right? With different security guarantees. So there's a lot of sort of flexibility in terms of the ultimate design. So not every layer 2 is the same. There's a lot of L2s that can be similar because they're using the same stack and they're using a plain vanilla kind of configuration, right? And that's also good, because I think there's just a lot of demand for where there's going to be even more demand in the future for just plain vanilla block space. But in the case of Celo, it's always going to be a bit special, right? Because we're not going to change anything about our approach, our focus, and the things that are important to us and to our community. And so in many ways, it's about scaling what Celo is today by leveraging the advantages that Ethereum can bring without jeopardizing any of those, or making changes that would undermine things, so no higher costs, right? No, we don't want to make it slower. We don't want to do anything that would sort of set us back on the journey that we're on. Quite the opposite. We want to accelerate the journey. So it's complicated, and it's not something that, I think I would even expect someone who's not deeply kind of plugged into the technical conversation would need to know, because it's a space also that's been evolving just very quickly in this past year and keeps evolving. But I think the TLDR, like what's sort of, if I'm listening to this, what would I want someone to take away is that, I think there's a lot of really smart people that are working on figuring out how to scale the broader Ethereum ecosystem and do it in a way that it leaves room for sort of different implementations that can be accommodating different use cases in the best possible way, all while leveraging this. Really, I think Ethereum is one of the most beautiful things ever created in terms of what it already provides, right? And I think it can do so much more. And the fact that we can all kind of plug into it and work with it is something that is, it's quite amazing if you think about it from a sort of just technical and sort of organizational achievement.
All right, thank you so much, Rene, on that one. And I think for our listeners, so maybe if you are worried that you need to go to MetaMask, I guess, and then move and then bridge that to the Celo blockchain, I think what you can do is go to GCrypto and PDAX, no, and I think and then they move it immediately to whatever Celo wallet you prefer. So and then I guess this is I guess what some of the last 2 or 3 questions from our audience, no. Of course, now Rene, there are different L2s, no, on Ethereum. So from Bri, the question from Bri Harilla, what makes Celo differ from other L2, and how will you compete on other giant L2s right now within the Ethereum ecosystem?
Yeah, I think this goes to the previous point. I think these and we have like active conversations with many of these, actually almost all of these on this list, right? So there's a lot of technical collaboration, right, in terms of like helping each other, find ways to work together on a technical level. But a lot of these are focused on a very different use case, very different user base, right? So I actually find it very simple. I mean, it's very easy to differentiate, right? I mean, I think if you what I would encourage everyone to do is just try to, set up a wallet, try to send some stable coins, do some basic stuff on each of these, and you'll quickly get a feel for, the stuff that you care about. Is this a good environment or not, right? And yeah, I think there are probably a lot of L2s that will be very similar to each other, and that's also fine because, again, the demand for block space for transactions, right, being sort of able to be like infrastructure to settle transactions, it's just going to kind of continue to increase. And so we do need kind of robust, sort of L2s, right, and many of them. But I think from a Celo perspective, we continue to be just very unique. I don't see any other L2 right now who's taken a similar approach to the kind of real world tie-in, right? To kind of focusing on and off ramps, on stable coins, on local stable coins, on making the stuff work on mobile. And I mean, I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself a little bit, but it's definitely sort of where right now there's a big gap to the rest of the industry, but also one I'm hoping is going to be closed as more L2s focus on those features.
All right. Thank you so much, Rene. No, this has been a very interesting conversation with you, and I'm happy that you join us here in the BitPinas webcast. And in fact, Logical Witch here mentioned that these are solid plans, kasaganahan para sa lahat, which is the translation of
prosperity for all.
I hope the one that will be
I already learned it.
So thank you so much on that one, no. And on that note, I would like to have some of course the final words with you guys, with Vince, with Luis, and Rene. It has been very interesting to have this conversation with you guys. So any final words that you would want to share with your audience, with the audience that I haven't asked you perhaps, and where can people find you? We go with Vince first.
Use PDAX, use GCrypto. We're making it easy. You can find me over at LinkedIn, Vincent James Teo.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll do mine, I guess. Yeah, just really fast. You find me on Hello Luis on Facebook and on X. Obviously, we're here because we want to support tokens that we actually believe in, rather than whatever random meme coin there is that we could list. I think that it makes more sense for us because I forgot to mention earlier, the Gcash motto is finance for all. So it's kind of in the same spectrum, I think, as Celo. So the when we make choices about what tokens or what protocols to support, there a lot of thought goes into that, no? And we try not to put stuff into our, I'll admit that we don't have the biggest token listing in the world, but I'd like to think that that's because we do care about the stuff that our users buy and sell. And we would like to give them access to projects that we think will have a meaningful impact, both on them and hopefully, the rest of the Philippine, the world, really, the rest of society. So we think that Celo is going to be one of those projects, is already maybe one of those projects, and we want to keep supporting them. And this is not going to be the last time that you will hear us talk about it. Hopefully, if we do another meetup at our office, we can dedicate one for the Celo initiative here in the Philippines, and hopefully the BitPinas audience will join us there.
Of course, yeah. Maybe we can organize it together. So thank
Yeah.
you so much, Luis and Vince. No, so Rene, before you give your final word, or maybe you join this with your final word, no? So one of our last slides here is about the Celo grants, no? The Celo community grants and all those other grants that the Celo Foundation is giving, and to the builders, no? The people that wants to build on the Celo ecosystem. So and with that, I would like to ask you, like, perhaps we have audience here on Bitpinas that wants to build on Celo, will become an emerging entrepreneur in the future on Celo. So what is your advice to them if they're going to this particular vote? And then your final words, Rene.
Awesome. Yeah, quickly on this, I definitely encourage people, and Luis mentioned this, the DAO is open to all, right? So I think worth getting involved, and you don't have to be like a core contributor right away, but just show up and say hello, and I think you'll find people to be very friendly. And I think it always helps to be just start getting involved in a community and get to meet people, and then from there work on, for example, some of these proposals, right? I mean, the way the Philippines DAO was funded, right, through the community, I think is a path that can work for other initiatives. There's also a bunch of sort of grant programs in the community and so on. So, I think there's a lot of information where also the DAO can help guide builders, on that journey. But yeah, for me, I mean, look, I mean, this has been phenomenal. I mean, I've just been reading along the chat comments as we were chatting, and I mean, it's so amazing to see the energy here, in the Philippines. I mean, very thankful to BitPinas. I mean, super thankful and also excited to continue to do the work with PDAX and GCash. And I think there's a lot of good stuff we can do together to just broaden sort of adoption for crypto in the Philippines and in the world. I think there's some stuff we'll probably, as a community, develop in the Philippines that then gets exported to the world, right? That's also fun, right? When you have sort of innovations pop up and suddenly other people use them, in other parts of the world. So I'm very bullish on I mean, you mentioned this just already, the community in the Philippines, and it's people that I think overall are fairly crypto savvy in a global standard, but also builders, just looking at the chat here, right, who are eager to build new products. And that's a good mix. I think you don't want to have, if you only have builders, no one is like using the products, or no one is excited to try them out. And if you only have people who want to use products and none of builders, right, that's also an imbalance. And so, looking at the chat here, I see just a really great balance, and that's super exciting to see. You can find me on X, Regen, Rene, REGEN, and look, I'm happy to come back, do another one of these, and I'm hopefully can make my way to the Philippines at some point soon. Again, it was definitely not the closest place, but we're doing a lot more in the region, and I'm definitely overdue a trip. As you had mentioned, we have a bunch of, even in the Celo Foundation, team members who've been with us, from the Philippines, folks like Angelo, Norman, and in the broader community. And so, I think you'll always, see us have sort of some special love in our heart for the country. But also, I'm, apart from sort of the more sentimental feeling there, it's just a massive opportunity, right? And it's something, if we can kind of crack it together, it's going to unleash a lot of value for everyone, and yeah, prosperity for all is the ultimate goal, and let's do it.
Yes. So thank you so much, Rene, prosperity for all. So before you guys leave, one final we have this thing called the Bitcoin price prediction every end of our episode. So just very quickly, this is for entertainment only. I will not put you in trouble with your legal team or so very quickly, Vince, what is your Bitcoin price prediction at the end of the year?
85K.
Okay, I thought 85 pesos, no? How about you,
85K.
Luis?
Vince, you were so close to mine. Wow, I can't believe it. Like we're on the same wavelength. I was gonna say 89,000. So yeah, okay, there you go.
All right. So and finally, you Rene, Bitcoin price for what do you think by the end of the year?
I mean, not financial advice. I'm also, look, I'm
Sorry.
also bullish. I mean, to me, it's kind of like, it doesn't, end of year doesn't matter, because I'm just holding. I just wanna. I mean, long term. I mean, I think this thing can go anywhere, right? I think there's just as digital gold is now as fully established. So yeah, year end, yeah, probably in that range. I mean, I could see it touch 100. I could see it. I could see that. I don't know. It's
There you go. There you
yeah.
go.
There you go. All right.
Let's go.
So yeah, thank you so
Charity
much,
for
guys.
all.
Rene, Luis, prosperity for all. Now, thank you so much, Rene, Luis, and Vince. This has been very wonderful webcast with you guys, and I hope to see you again in the future in our webcast and our here in the Philippines, no, Rene? So, yeah. So, to our audience, no, ito na yung iniintay nyo, or isa sa mga iniintay nyo, ating trivia Q&A together with our trivia master na si Michael Lance. So, na pwede kayong manalo ng 1,000 pesos worth of Celo tokens. So, Lance, thank you so much for waiting to this particular our section.
Ayun, thanks Mike, no? At saka excited na ba kayong manalo, no? Nakapagkinig ba ang lahat, no? Ano nga ba ulit ang sa Filipino ng prosperity to all once again? Dapat pala yun yung mga tanong Mike. ano sa Tagalog ang prosperity to all? Okay. So, meron tayong ibibigay na mga pa-premyo sa inyo guys, no? For those who listen to our webcast this evening. We will be giving away 1,000 peso worth of Celo for 4 winners each. For those who will answer our trivia Q&A correctly. We will also give 500 pesos to 8 winners who are active in the comment section and contributing to the discussion. And we will also give another 500 peso worth of Celo each for 4 winners who got their questions answered by our guests this evening. Ayan. So, are you ready, guys, to win our prizes this evening? Ready na ba ang lahat? No, nasa keyboard na ba ang lahat? Okay? So, before we ask the question, do not forget to follow our fan pages, our social media accounts at BitPinas, and share our live stream publicly on your profile. Okay? And don't forget to answer our questions correctly in the comment section of this live stream. Ayan. So are you ready to win 1,000 worth of Celo? Okay. So our first question is, who is the president of the Celo Foundation? Okay. So who is the president of the Celo Foundation? Type in the correct answer below in the comment section of this live stream. Okay, once again, do not forget to follow, like, and subscribe to our fan pages and accounts at BitPinas, and share our live stream publicly on your profile. Okay, so answer our questions correctly. Okay, put the full name of the president of Celo Foundation. Okay, kailangan correct spelling, tama ba? Correct spelling. Okay, so sagot lang ng sagot. Okay, so last, who is the president of Celo Foundation? Okay, huwag kayong mag-alala kung di nyo alam ang sagot or hindi kayo nakapagsagot. We have another question. Name at least one organization that our guests represent. Yeah. So name at least one organization that our guests represent. So at least, you can give more than one. Okay? So type in to the chat box the correct answer. Okay? So type in the chat box. Okay, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow our fan pages and accounts at BitPinas, and share our live stream publicly on your profile. So once again, name at least one organization that our guests represent. Sagot na ng sagot, you might win 1,000 peso worth of Celo. So we will be selecting one winner per question. So that's 4 winners all in all. And we will be announcing the winners in our social media pages after this live stream. Okay? Okay, so our third question, teka lang. Hindi ko na yung aking notification. So our third question is, name at least one project built within the Celo ecosystem. Okay. So name at least one project built within the Celo ecosystem. Okay, so pakisagot ang tamang sagot. Kindly type in the correct answer in the comment section of our live stream. Okay? So, sagot na ng sagot. Okay? So, once again, name at least one project built within the Celo ecosystem. Make sure that you type in the correct answer in our comment section. Don't forget, follow our social media accounts at BitPinas and share our live stream publicly on your profile. So make sure that the sharing of our live stream is public, okay? Not for friends only, okay? So that you will have a follower and sharer badge. Okay, so name at least one project built in the Celo ecosystem. Now, for our last question, kayo mag-alala. Pwede pa kayo makahabol dito. What is your bullish price for Celo? Okay. So what is the bullish price for Celo? So this is not a financial advice. This is just for fun. So what is your bullish price for Celo? Ayan So good luck sa inyo So once again, we will be giving away 1,000 peso worth of Celo for 4 winners who will get the trivia questions correctly. So that's 1 winner per each question. We will also be selecting 8 winners who will be winning 500 peso worth of Celo for those who will be active in the comment section and contributing to the discussion. And we will select another 4 winners of 500 peso worth of Celo for those who got their answers. Those who got their questions answered by our guests. Sa dami, Dami pwedeng manalo. Okay? So, tutok lang dito sa ating sa ating sa ating social media accounts and sa ating website BitPinas for news and stories about blockchain, crypto, and Web3. Ayan. So let's go back to our host, Mike. Baka pwedeng pakisagot ang tanong, what is your bullish price?
Oo.
Ikaw na may tatanungin ko, no?
So yun, ayun nga may nalalagay sa comment section natin. So ayun, maraming salamat sa lahat ng mga nanood dito ngayon sa atin sa BitPinas Webcast. I hope napasalamatan nyo kanina ang ating mga guests, si Rene Reinsberg, ang president ng Celo, si Luis Buenaventura ng Gcash, at of course si Vince ng PDAX, no? So please look forward to our page. Maglalagay kami ng survey form dyan para ma-improve namin itong mga webcast na nagaganap, no? So that's it for tonight's episode of the BitPinas Webcast. Thank you so much everyone for your time. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to you, Lance, to the BitPinas staff, Knight and Sheila. Hi to my girlfriend Aya who's also watching. Thank you so much and see you next time. No? See you sa susunod na episode ng ating BitPinas Webcast. Maraming salamat at magandang gabi sa lahat. Thank you.
See you.